All right, so we got a good one coming at you guys today. I am currently on ChatGPT, and I wrote in, give me a random health and fitness topic to do a podcast on and give 5 questions about that topic that we can answer. So I'm clicking send.
Oh, we didn't even click send yet, huh? So they're
No, I
generating
didn't click
right
send. I
now.
was trying to, it was generating it right away. So it says
Sick.
the science of sleep and its impact on fitness and weight loss.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Is it in question format? Is it asking like a maybe reprompt it, say ask
I know
5 questions or
it has
something?
5 questions below it.
Oh, it does. Okay.
So the first question about it. So again, that's the science of sleep and its impact on fitness and weight loss. 5 questions. How does sleep affect muscle growth and recovery after workouts?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me is when somebody has lack of sleep. That's if you want to find out right away. If you want to find out how sleep affects what was it specifically, your muscle in recovery?
Yeah, muscle growth and recovery.
Yeah, so muscle growth and recovery. I've tried to do this in years prior. I think you and I both have, where we've tried to go and just neglect sleep as much as we possibly could. On the flip side, when you prioritize and you focus on sleep 7 to 8 hours minimum, you'll notice your body feels amazing. You feel different. You feel recharged. From a recovery standpoint, if you're not allowing your body to fully recover and you're just going into the next session or you're going into the next day, you put yourself behind the 8 ball because you're saying, let's use a percentage wise. Let's say you're 30-40% recovered because your sleep was inadequate. And then you're going back into your next session the following day. And you think about what we're doing every time we go into the gym is we're tearing down our muscle fibers, we're tearing down our muscle tissue. So if we're not allowing, most people think like, I'm going to go into the gym and I'm going to work out and I'm going to get stronger. Remember, we actually do damage to the muscle tissue in that process. And so really where the magic happens that most people kind of just brush and breeze over is in the what you're doing outside of the gym, right? Nutrition's a whole nother conversation too, but sleep specifically also helps release the highest amount of growth hormone, right? Our ability to recover during sleep and during rest is so crucial. This wasn't something that I understood until like later in my life, because we can get away with it when we're younger. And as you start to age, you're like, oh, sleep actually impacts my ability and affects me, how well I recover, and then how well I'm able to kind of go into the next session. So sleep's super important. What about you, man? What advice you have?
I mean, that's huge, right? Like it's when it comes to that, you mentioned growth hormone, right? It's like that helps with muscle tissue repair, protein synthesis, fat metabolism, and then there's other things just around just when you enhance that protein synthesis, that's where muscles actually repair themselves after the workouts, right? Like you're actually like they're rebuilding themselves up, which is huge. And like you said, like it's just like if all we've had to really do is look at yourself, right? When you're lacking sleep deprived and just how much weaker you feel, how like your results will dwindle if you do that for a long period of time. I Googled a little bit of this stuff too while we were going at it, because I want to make sure that there's also some good stuff on here that's out there research wise. And it also, another huge one that I wasn't thinking about off the top was it increases your cortisol, right? When you're deprived of sleep, and that's your stress hormone. So it promotes, it'll help you, like you'll store more fat when cortisol's higher. It also, like cortisol, when it's like high for longer periods of time, it starts eating away at muscle, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a huge thing. Like when you don't, and it also increases inflammation, right? All that stuff is like increasing inflammation, which is going to just reduce your recovery. You're not going to feel as good. Your body's not going to come back as good. There's just tons and tons of stuff around that question of muscle growth, recovery. Like, and we've talked about this before on the podcast, but sleep is the most important tool that you can get when it comes to your results. Really, it's like the easiest thing to, and I'll be the first to say that my sleep hasn't necessarily been like as good as it probably has been at some points in the past, but you can definitely tell after like a better night's sleep how much more energy you have and how much more like locked in you are, how much more you can focus and concentrate, and you do a lot better job in all areas. But that's one. And there's also the next one is what's the link between sleep deprivation and weight gain? And that I basically answered that, right? It's like
Yeah.
cortisol is a huge aspect to that because when you're sleep deprived, cortisol goes up. When you're sleep deprived for longer periods of time and cortisol remains up, like you store more body fat,
Yeah.
right? And it goes away on muscle. And so it's naturally going to lead you to gain weight over the course of time. Not to mention that it can help. Like if you're not sleeping as well, like sometimes you'll hold on to more water, right? Just the next day, it's one of those things, and that's not necessarily fat gain. This is just talking about weight gain, though, right? That's another area where you will like step on the scale maybe the next day, and you're not up that much weight in pounds, but you're up that much weight in just water weight, extra water weight.
Yeah. I mean, think about it from this term too, is like the elevation in cortisol is essentially sending a signal to our body that we're stressed out and we're in the stressed out survival state. And so your body's doing its best to try to protect itself. Our bodies are designed super unique, very creative, awesome, cool ways. And that's one of our mechanisms of saying, hey, we need to protect ourselves. We need to be in a state of survival. And so when cortisol is higher, you're sending a subconscious signal to your body to say, hey, I need to hold on to body fat. I need to protect ourselves. We don't know when we're going to get our next meal again. We need to hold on to body fat to be able to protect our organs, et cetera, like all these different things. And so we're sending signals to our body of being stressed out just by being sleep deprived. So there's that kind of tipping point of you can probably do it for a little bit till you get away with it until you don't. And then once you don't, you're going to start noticing some of these symptoms that Alex was talking about. Like you go into your workout the next day and like, man, I used to be able to just kind of like be off 3-4 hours and crush my workout still until it catches up to you. And then you're like, oh, okay, these are the signs and symptoms that have kind of I've been ignoring. And now all of a sudden they have a light shined on them and I better start paying attention to them if I want to improve. So yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah. And the next one up is how does sleep quality impact metabolism and hormone regulation? We talked about that as
It's kind
well.
of the same
Right?
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, growth hormone is impacted. That impacts, protein synthesis, fat metabolism, tissue repair. It's essential for those things. And so it's going to reduce your recovery and muscle growth. So that's very combined with that. This next one's good though. This is a good one. What are the best strategies to improve sleep for better athletic performance?
Mm. So when you think of like the demands from athletic performance, it's very high output, right? So if you depending on what sport you're playing or what competition you're doing, there's going to be a high likelihood that from a cognitive standpoint, you need everything firing on all cylinders. So from a nervous system standpoint, right? So rest is going to play a huge factor in that. Are you recovered enough? Have you got enough quality of sleep? Are you going to be able to fire on all cylinders and make sure that your nervous system is in a good position as well, right? Like it's reactive, you're in a reactive state. Or are you going to go into it sleep deprived? You're going to kind of be a little bit groggy, less clarity, brain fog, whatever you want to call it. So from an athletic standpoint, performance wise, you need to be in tip top shape in terms of how you're treating your body. That's why like nobody ever talks about this too, but like people at the highest level that are getting paid the most money, oftentimes if they're around for a long time, they spend so much money in recovery and repair on their body and they take sleep seriously. They're tracking their sleep. A lot of them are wearing trackers to be able to go, okay, yes, I checked the box of being in bed for 7 to 8 hours, but what was the quality of that sleep? How much of that was REM? Like what was my HRV during sleep? Like they're taking these things all into consideration so that they can perform at the highest level. Now, if you're not, you're not concerned about athletic performance, maybe those things might not be as important, but they're still important. So if you're trying to get even just the slightest bit of an edge from an athletic standpoint, position, paying attention to those things and the people at the highest level who actually give a damn, I guarantee you they are, right? I know they are.
Yeah. Well, and like question two is like the best strategies, right? So let me give you my top three that I've used in the past, and I have not used these in a little while, but these are the ones that I should use. This is a good reminder. Is just the first one was developing like a really good nighttime routine was a really big thing for me when I went from not sleeping good to like really dialing it in. And it was just really the last like hour or so before bed, like really like kind of dimming the lights, using blue light blockers, just getting away from screens, or turning the, like on my phone, I actually still have it where when you, like when I do like 3 clicks, it goes to it takes the blue light.
Nice. Yeah, yeah.
Right. So you can set that up if you like Google how to get the blue light off of my phone. You can set that up, and that works really well that night. And then just like having maybe some things that you do, maybe you like read before bed or do some things that relax you, meditate, stretching. I used to do that a lot where I would stretch before bed, just like sit in like stretches for extended periods of time, or do like some like not meditation, but some yoga, some like yoga where you sit in poses for long periods of time. And that always helped like relax me and get me into a good place. So that'd be the one. Two is get out in the sun first thing in the morning. And I've been actually really good at this for a little while now, where I'll go on a walk first thing in the morning. You get that sun, and that helps produce serotonin. Serotonin is the precursor to melatonin, which helps you go to sleep at night. Right, so that's a huge thing as well. I know that's one of Andrew Huberman's like biggest sleep tips is to get out in the sun within the first 30, 60 minutes after waking up. If that's not possible, just get out in the sun throughout the day. That should help out. And then the last one I would say is that's helped me a lot in the past is just like to move and exercise. Right, when I'm getting a lot of good quality movement and exercise in, like you just feel tired at the end of the day, like a lot more tired at the end of the day. You seem to sleep a lot better. So those would be kind of three. And we could talk about a million freaking tips. Like now I'm like, oh, well, quality food, it's like, you just like,
Yeah.
there's so many, hydration, right? It's like, there's like a million different things. But if I were to just kind of think of the three big ones that popped into my head that have really helped me a lot, those three come to mind.
Yeah. And like the other one that comes to my mind too is the 3-2-1 method. That's the one I have all my clients do. 3 hours before bed, shut down food and drink. 2 hours before bed, shut down exercise or physical activity, and then 1 hour before bed, like you talked about, the blue light or any screens for that matter. And that'll drastically help you if you kind of get those situated and just implement that 3-2-1 method. It'll definitely help you, especially if you don't know where to start. You're like, I want to go to bed, but I'm just laying in bed and I'm like staring at the ceiling, and you feel like you're wide awake. That wind down alarm and to get your routine going and just implementing that 3-2-1 method will be a game changer for sure.
Awesome. Well, and the last question on here is just, can naps help compensate for poor nighttime sleep when it comes to your recovery? What
Mm.
do you got to say about that?
I don't think they make up for it. And I know there's data and research on this, and I don't quite know it, but I know naps can be extremely beneficial. I'll tell you that. Like they can do, like LeBron's noted for taking a nap every single day. He takes one in the middle of the day every day. And so I feel like if it's something that works for you and you feel like you can implement it, and you can also keep a consistent nighttime routine on top of that, like if you're napping for too long and it's affecting your ability to go to sleep at night, then obviously that's not going to work. However, if you can implement a little 15, 20, whatever minute nap, 30-minute, and you can not mess up your regular sleep cycle, and it gives you an extra boost for whatever part of the day, like I'm a huge fan of it. I haven't napped in a really, really long time. I used to nap a lot. Um, I just feel like I haven't needed to in a long time, but I used to take naps all the time, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say the same thing. Like it can help, I think, in some respect, but it's not going to counteract
No.
a good exercise. And it's like, I would say, you can look up the research. I think it's like longer naps, like you said, they're not going to be, it's more like shorter naps, like
Yeah.
20 to 30 minutes can help to like somewhat counteract sleep loss, but they're not going to be a full replacement for a bad night's sleep. Right. So it's like,
Yeah.
and I'm not somebody who can nap either. Like I have not found that as something that I can do since like college, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like if it works for you, awesome. I know people who like religiously take naps and they feel good about it, and that's just like, it's like anything. Everybody's going to be a little different, so find what works for you, and yeah, rock and roll. But that's about all, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Just a random topic generator with random questions, and happened to get on a really good topic of sleep that we haven't talked about in a little while. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you do, make sure that you subscribe or follow us so that you don't miss our future episodes. We drop them every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 p.m. Arizona time, which will be changing to Pacific too soon. So, but again, we appreciate you watching and listening every week. Hope you have a great rest of the day, week, and we'll be talking to you soon.